For travelers this weekend, airlines have already started slashing their schedules. That comes as now we are less than 3 weeks away from Thanksgiving and the busiest travel days of the year. Meanwhile, President Trump continues to claim that Republicans are the party of affordability, but that wasn't reflected in Tuesday's election results. We'll go through and fact check his latest attempts to reclaim that issue, and we'll show you the president's reaction to Nancy Pelosi announcing she'll retire from Congress. If you were expecting class, you didn't get it. Good morning and welcome to Morning Joe. It is Friday, November 7th. I'm Jonathan Lemire. Thanks for being with us. Joining me is U.S. Special Correspondent for BBC News and the host of the Rest is Politics podcast, Caddy K. Caddy, we are now the real-world implications of the government shutdown, which is now extended beyond a month. It's the second longest in U.S. history, are starting to really add up. The SNAP benefits, of course, expired, and now in the matter of the courts, government employees not getting paychecks. And the air traffic control issues have been growing in the last couple of weeks, but they will arrive in full force this weekend. A lot of travelers across the country, red states and blue, are really going to feel the pain.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of my daughter, who I know is traveling this weekend, and a couple of other friends who are trying to get to weddings this weekend, and you already feel bad for them because you don't know how it's going to happen. And then, of course, those SNAP benefits, Jonathan, at the same day, we get the news that suddenly Elon Musk is going to get $1 trillion and become a trillionaire. It's a weird juxtaposition moment, and I can be well sure that lots of people are noticing. Some people are making an awful lot of money. Some people are literally not managing to get their food stamps. Okay, so starting today, the Federal Aviation Administration is mandating up to a 10% cut in domestic flights at dozens of the nation's busiest airports. Major hubs affected include airports in New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, Atlanta, and Dallas, with thousands of daily flights at risk. The disruptions are expected to ripple across domestic travel just ahead of this busy holiday season. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy said this week the decision was made out of concern for safety due to staffing shortages as air traffic controllers go unpaid while the government remains closed. Meanwhile, as we were saying, a federal judge has ordered the Trump administration to release full funding for November food stamps for roughly 42 million low-income Americans by today, after criticizing it for delaying aid during the shutdown. The judge rebuked the administration for causing, quote, irreparable harm to Americans, including 16 million children, by failing to fund the program, and said it was unacceptable to delay payments any further. But the Justice Department told the court it would appeal the ruling, stoking fears that Americans would not receive full benefits to purchase groceries this month. I think this is the moment, right, Jonathan, when people start to feel it at the airports, they start to feel it in their pockets, they start to feel it in their grocery cabinets when they can't fill those either. Maybe that puts pressure on some kind of resolution.
Yeah, it seemed like for a few weeks the shutdown was sort of moving in slow motion. It wasn't even the top story every morning here. It has now arrived. This is what people are talking about. This is what people are feeling. And it all comes as President Trump continues to pressure Republicans into eliminating the filibuster as a way to end the government shutdown. In a post on True Social, Trump wrote that the Democrats will terminate the filibuster in the first hour if and when they assume control or power. Republicans have what the Democrats want. We should do it now and have the greatest 3 years in history. Exclamation point. This comes as Trump admits that Tuesday's election has put pressure on Republicans to end the shutdown. But Senate Majority Leader John Thune has repeatedly indicated that ending the filibuster is a non-starter, with a majority of Senate Republicans opposed, warning that it is a move that will only help Democrats in the long run. Let's now bring in to discuss managing editor at The Bulwark, Sam Stein, contributing writer for The Atlantic and MSNBC political analyst Eugene Robinson, and president emeritus of the Council on Foreign Relations, Richard Haass. Richard is also the author of the weekly newsletter Home and Away, available on Substack. A great group. Thank you all for joining us. Sam, I will start with you. To what Caddy and I have been saying here, this does feel like the moment where the government shutdown is really impacting more and more Americans, and the political pressure clearly mounting on Republicans. You know, I wrote for The Atlantic last night that there had been some momentum earlier in the week before the election, maybe towards a deal. And look, some quiet negotiations on this in the Senate are still taking place. But the results here have emboldened Democrats to stand firm. Many of them believe, saying, look, we're winning this. People are respecting how the stand we're taking. And Republicans, Trump himself even acknowledging, are on the losing end of it. Though, of course, the president won't take any personal blame.
Yeah, there's a number of cross currents here, right? Trump's outwardly saying Republicans are losing the shutdown fight and therefore need to eliminate the filibuster. But the first part's the most important part, which is he's acknowledging that they're getting bested politically. And if you talk to Democrats now, they do feel emboldened, frankly. They believe that Tuesday night was affirmation of what they're trying to do, which is to focus the conversation back on affordability and costs and Obamacare subsidies. And they don't see a particular reason at this juncture to cut a deal that doesn't address at least some of that. Now, that doesn't mean that they're not queasy a little bit with what's going on. Obviously, they want to see, they want to see the subsidies resolved, but they also recognize that people going hungry because a lapse of SNAP benefits is no good for anybody. And so what you have now is them trying to figure out what the right off-ramp is, and you have Republicans trying to figure out what can they actually get away with. And Gene, I look at this, I have to admit, early on, I thought that Democrats would have folded a lot quicker because maybe that's just in their DNA. But they do seem to be emboldened by the political moment. I think Tuesday's election result was affirmation for them. What are your sort of takeaways from how the Democratic Party is approaching this in the past couple of weeks?
Well, look at the Democrats' motivation, right? Both the stick and the carrot. The Democratic base had been just hankering for them to fight. Right. They've been demanding that they fight the Trump administration and the Republicans on something, on anything. And here is this huge issue, healthcare.